Admiral Zara stared through the observation deck of the Galactic Council's last sanctuary ship, her crystalline eyes reflecting the cold darkness of space. The massive vessel housed what remained of the Council's leadership after their latest retreat. Behind her, the emergency session chamber erupted in chaos as representatives from a dozen species argued over their rapidly dwindling options. The void hunger has already consumed 3 major systems in the past cycle, General Vexthor growled, his scaled skin shifting colors with agitation. Our combined fleets can't even slow it down anymore. The void hunger. Even its name sent shivers through Zara's neural pathways. They'd first detected it 6 cycles ago, emerging from the space between galaxies, a vast, ever-expanding mass of darkness that consumed everything in its path. Energy, matter, even light itself disappeared into its endless maw. Conventional weapons passed through it harmlessly. Energy barriers shattered at its touch. Every attempt to communicate with it had failed. Perhaps, came a quiet voice from the corner, it is time we considered Protocol Omega. The chamber fell silent. Zara turned to face Archivist Yen, the ancient Memorian who served as keeper of the Council's deepest secrets. His holographic form flickered slightly, even he no longer dared to be physically present at Council meetings, given their recent string of emergency evacuations. Protocol Omega is a myth, scoffed Ambassador Trell, their gelatinous form rippling. A fairy tale we tell young ones about the mysterious humans who vanished from the galaxy. I assure you, Yen's voice carried an edge of steel beneath its usual softness, it is quite real. As were the humans. Zara's attention sharpened. Like most spacefaring species, she'd grown up hearing stories about humans. They'd been part of the galactic community centuries ago, renowned for their adaptability and their peculiar way of thinking. Then, almost overnight, they'd disappeared. Their worlds were found empty, their ships abandoned. Most assumed they'd fallen victim to some catastrophe or fled to another galaxy. Even if humans were real, Vexthor interjected, they're long dead. What good is a protocol about them? Yen's hologram glided to the center of the chamber. Before they vanished, the humans left something behind. Insurance, they called it. A gift for the galaxy should we ever face an extinction-level threat. His form expanded, projecting images around the chamber. Cryo-facilities. Dozens of them, hidden throughout the galaxy. Each containing their best warriors, scientists, and problem-solvers, preserved in suspended animation. The chamber erupted again, but Zara barely heard the shouts and arguments. She was focused on the projected images, massive underground complexes built into asteroids and moons, filled with rows upon rows of cryopods. Each potentially containing a living, breathing human. Why? She asked, her voice cutting through the chaos. Why would they do this? Because, Yen replied, they believed that sometimes the galaxy needs what they called outside-the-box thinking. They recognized that their minds worked differently than ours. That in a crisis, that difference might be valuable. And you know where these facilities are? Zara pressed. I know the location of one. The closest is 3 light jumps from here, in a system the void hunger hasn't reached yet. General Vexthor's scales had shifted to a deep blue of contemplation. These humans, the stories say they were violent. Unpredictable. Dangerous. They were all of those things, Yen agreed. They were also innovative, determined, and nearly impossible to defeat when their backs were against the wall. The stories also say they never faced a problem they couldn't solve, given enough time and resources. Zara moved to the central display, studying the projected course of the void hunger's expansion. At current speeds, it would consume the entire galaxy within 50 cycles. Their most powerful weapons had proven useless. Their greatest minds had failed to find a solution. How many humans are in this facility? She asked. 500, Yen replied. A full crisis response team, according to the records. Scientists, strategists, soldiers, and specialists. Ambassador Trell oozed forward. And what if they're hostile when we wake them? What if they decide to conquer what's left of us instead of helping? Then we'll die slightly sooner than we will if we do nothing, Zara said firmly. She turned to face the council. We've lost 30% of the galaxy already. We've tried every weapon, every strategy, every form of diplomacy we know. We're not just running out of options, we're running out of galaxy. She gestured to the display showing the Void Hunger's inexorable advance. The humans deliberately left themselves here, frozen in time, in case we needed them. They understood something might come along that the rest of us couldn't handle. I say we take their offer of help. The chamber was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Vexthor spoke. The military supports this action. We have nothing left to lose. One by one, the other council members voiced their agreement. Even Ambassador Trell eventually rippled their consent. Archivist, Zara commanded, set course for the facility. I want our best medical teams studying the revival protocols. We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with before we start waking them. As the council chamber emptied, Zara returned to the observation deck. Somewhere out there, frozen in time, were beings that might represent their last hope. She only prayed the stories about humanity's legendary problem-solving abilities weren't exaggerated. Because if they were, there wouldn't be a galaxy left to save. The cryo facility's ancient security systems hummed to life as Zara's team made their way through the massive complex. Emergency lights cast an eerie blue glow across rows of frost-covered pods, each containing a perfectly preserved human. The facility had been carved into the heart of a metallic asteroid, protected by layers of security that had taken their best technicians 3 days to bypass. Life support readings are stable, reported Dr. LYX, her tentacles dancing across holographic displays. The preservation protocols are remarkably sophisticated. These humans are as healthy as the day they went under. Zara approached the first pod they'd selected for revival. Unlike the others, this one bore special markings, commander's insignia, according to their archaeological databases. Through the frosted glass, she could make out the form of a human female, her dark skin a sharp contrast to the white preservation gel. Begin revival sequence, Zara ordered. The pod systems engaged with a low hum. Preservation gel began to drain as heating elements activated. The human's vital signs appeared on their monitors, heartbeat strengthening, brain activity increasing. After what seemed like an eternity, the pod's cover slid open with a soft hiss. The human's eyes snapped open instantly, alert and focused. Before anyone could react, she'd already assessed the room and its occupants. Zara noticed her muscles tensing, ready for action despite centuries of hibernation. I am Admiral Zara of the Galactic Council, she announced, using the universal translator. You are safe. We awakened you because Protocol Omega, the human interrupted, her voice hoarse but strong. You wouldn't have found us otherwise. What's the threat level? Zara blinked, surprised by the immediate comprehension. Critical. We're facing extinction within 50 cycles. The human commander nodded, sitting up smoothly. Commander Sarah Chen, Earth Special Crisis Response Unit. How many of my people have you revived? You're the first. We wanted to Wake up Team Alpha immediately, Chen ordered, swinging her legs over the pod's edge. Pods 23 through 28. They're my core command staff. We'll need them for preliminary threat assessment. Dr. Elwax's tentacles writhed nervously. Commander, you've been in cryo-sleep for over 3 centuries. You should undergo medical evaluation first. Chen stood, stretching with careful precision. Our pods are designed for immediate combat readiness, Doctor. The evaluation can wait. Right now, I need to know exactly what we're up against. Over the next hour, they revived 5 more humans, 3 males and 2 females. Each emerged with the same instant alertness, the same ready-for-action demeanor. They gathered in the facility's briefing room, accepting nutrient packs designed to help their bodies readjust. As Zara's team explained about the void hunger, she watched the humans carefully. They showed none of the fear or despair she'd seen in countless council sessions. Instead, they asked sharp, precise questions about the entity's behavior patterns, its physical properties, and previous attempts to stop it. "Let me get this straight," said Major Torres, one of the newly awakened humans. "It absorbs everything, matter, energy, even light, but it has a defined edge. A boundary between it and normal space." "Correct," Zara confirmed. "The boundary appears as absolute darkness. Nothing we've sent across it has returned or had any effect." The humans exchanged glances. Commander Chen's lips curved slightly. "And it maintains this boundary as it expands? No fluctuations or irregularities?" "None that we've detected." "Why?" "Because anything with a boundary has limits," Chen said. "Laws it has to follow. Natural processes it depends on." She turned to another of her team. "Dr. Harrison, thoughts?" The older human male nodded. "Conservation of energy has to apply somehow. It can't simply destroy matter and energy, they have to go somewhere, be transformed into something. If we can figure out the transformation process, we can potentially reverse it," finished Lieutenant Patel, her fingers already dancing across the datapad they'd given her. "Or at least disrupt it." "Major Rodriguez, what about weapons applications?" "If it maintains a defined boundary, it's maintaining active separation from normal space," Rodriguez mused. "That requires energy. Find the frequency of that energy signature. And we might be able to interfere with it," Chen concluded. She turned to Zara. "Admiral, we're going to need full access to your scientific data, weapon specifications, and strategic reports. Also, wake up pods 29 through 45, they're our primary science team. And 112 through 126, special operations." Zara found herself nodding automatically before catching herself. "You believe you can find a way to fight this thing? To stop it?" Chen's expression hardened with determination. "Admiral, humanity didn't go into those pods for fun. We're here because we're good at killing things that are supposed to be unkillable. We're good at finding solutions when everyone else has given up." She stood, her presence somehow filling the room despite her smaller stature. "You didn't just wake up some frozen soldiers. You woke up the best problem solvers, the most creative minds, and the deadliest warriors Earth had to offer. We specifically chose to sleep away the centuries because we knew someday, something like this would happen." Chen's dark eyes blazed with intensity. "The galaxy needs an outside-the-box solution. Well, humans wrote the book on thinking outside the box. And we're very, very good at turning seemingly unstoppable forces into very stoppable objects." For the first time since the void hunger appeared, Zara felt something she'd almost forgotten: hope. 2 weeks after awakening, the humans had transformed an entire section of the sanctuary ship into what they called a war room. Holographic displays showed everything known about the void hunger, while dozens of humans and aliens worked together at various stations. Commander Chen stood at the central platform, studying a simulation of their latest test results. "Look at this pattern," Harrison said, highlighting a section of data. "Every time the void hunger absorbs matter, there's a microsecond burst of exotic particles along its boundary. We've been so focused on what goes in, we never studied what leaks out." Chen nodded, her eyes narrowing. "It's like a pressure release valve." "Rodriguez, what did you find in the weapons tests?" The weapons specialist brought up another display. "Conventional weapons pass right through because they're too simple. But when we hit it with complex energy patterns, there's a momentary resistance before absorption. It's not invincible. It has to work to break down complicated structures." "That matches our theoretical models," Lieutenant Patel added, her fingers flying across multiple interfaces. "It's not just consuming matter and energy, it's converting them into something else. A conversion that requires computational power. The more complex the input, the harder it has to work, Chen finished. Admiral Zara, what's the most sophisticated weapon system the Council has? Zara brought up specs for their quantum cascade disruptors. These were our last resort. They can theoretically tear apart the fabric of spacetime, but against the void hunger, they had no effect. No effect? Dr. Harrison smiled. Look at these readings. They had an effect, just not the one you were looking for. Each shot forced the void hunger to expend massive amounts of energy to convert the disruption. And here's where it gets interesting, Patel said, overlaying a new dataset. The exotic particle bursts increase exponentially with complexity. If we could hit it with enough complex energy patterns simultaneously, we could overload its conversion capacity, Rodriguez finished. Force it to either retreat or risk destabilization. Chen turned to Zara. How many quantum cascade disruptors do you have? 17. But they require enormous power to operate. Using them simultaneously would drain most of our remaining fleet's energy reserves. We'll need more than that anyway, Chen said. Dr. Harrison, explain the resonance theory. The scientist brought up a new model. The void hunger maintains its boundary through active energy expenditure. That boundary resonates at specific frequencies we can detect and potentially match. If we could generate a counter-resonance while overloading its conversion capacity, we could tear a hole in it, Chen stated. Create a weakness we can exploit. But we'll need at least 50 disruptors, all firing in perfect synchronization, while a separate fleet generates the counter-resonance field. Zara's crystalline form dimmed slightly. We don't have the resources to build that many disruptors. Our manufacturing capabilities are severely limited. A slow smile spread across Chen's face. No, but we have something better. Major Torres, show them Project Lazarus. Torres brought up schematics for what looked like modified cryopods. These aren't just preservation units, they're quantum-locked storage systems. In addition to our personnel, we brought weapons. Lots of weapons. Including 35 devices that your quantum cascade disruptors appear to be based on. Zara's form brightened in shock. You had these weapons centuries ago. We developed them during the Nexus War, Chen explained. But they were too dangerous to leave active, so we stored them with us. Humanity learned the hard way about leaving superweapons lying around. She turned to the assembled team. Here's the plan, Operation Lazarus. We combine our ancient weapons with your modern ones. We retrofit the entire fleet with resonance generators. Then we set a trap. The display showed a complex battle plan. The void hunger's expansion isn't random, it follows patterns of energy concentration. We create a tempting target, a massive energy signature it can't resist. When it moves to absorb it, we spring the trap, Rodriguez continued. Hit it from all sides with synchronized disruptor fire while the resonance fleet creates a weakness in its boundary. The combination of stresses should force it to either retreat or face complete destabilization. And if it destabilizes? Zara asked. Then we find out what's on the other side, Chen said grimly. Either way, it stops consuming our galaxy. She turned to face the assembled aliens and humans. This is going to take everything we have. Every ship, every weapon, every bit of power we can generate. And even then, success isn't guaranteed. But right now, it's not just humanity's best option, it's the galaxy's only option. Zara studied the plans, her tactical training recognizing the audacity, and potential brilliance, of the strategy. How long to prepare? 2 weeks to retrofit the fleet and synchronize the weapons, Torres reported. Another week to set up the trap. 3 weeks, Chen confirmed. 3 weeks to prepare for a battle that will either save the galaxy or end with us joining the void. Either way, humanity didn't wake up to hide in the shadows. We woke up to fight. The war room erupted in activity as both humans and aliens began preparations. Zara watched them work, noting how seamlessly they integrated, how the humans' confidence seemed to infect everyone around them. "Commander," she said quietly to Chen, "what made you and your people choose to go into those pods? To sleep for centuries on the chance you might be needed?" Chen's expression softened slightly. "Because we believed that life finds a way. That somewhere, sometime, someone would face a threat they couldn't handle alone. And when that happened, they'd need people crazy enough to think the impossible was just a challenge to overcome." She smiled. "That's what humans do best." The combined fleet hung silently in the void of space, powered down to minimal levels. 5,000 ships arranged in a perfect sphere, waiting. At their center, a massive energy core pulsed with power, the bait in their trap. Commander Chen stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the tactical display with intense focus. "Contact," announced the sensor officer. "The void hunger has altered course. It's moving toward our position." "Right on schedule," Chen murmured. "Status of the quantum disruptors." "All 52 weapons platforms report ready," Rodriguez confirmed from his station. "Synchronization is holding at 99.99% accuracy. Resonance fleet standing by," Torres added. "All ships report optimal power levels for field generation." Through the main viewport, they could see it approaching, a wall of absolute darkness that devoured the stars themselves. The void hunger had consumed dozens of systems to reach this point, growing ever larger, ever hungrier. But now, for the first time, it was walking into someone else's trap. "It's accelerating," Zara reported, her crystalline form glowing with tension. "The energy signature is drawing it in faster than we anticipated." Chen nodded. "Good. The harder it's moving, the harder it'll be for it to stop. Dr. Harrison, how's our timing?" "Calculations are locked in. We'll have a 3-second window when it reaches optimal range. Miss that window." "We won't," Chen stated firmly. "All ships, final positions. Prepare to execute on my mark." The darkness grew closer, its boundary now clearly visible against the starfield. The energy core's pulses increased in frequency, drawing their enemy toward them like a moth to flame. "Range in 30 seconds, Patel announced. 29, 28. Chen's voice carried across all channels. "Remember your training. Hit your marks exactly. Timing is everything. 15 seconds. The darkness loomed before them, massive and seemingly unstoppable. Chen felt the old familiar tension of pre-battle adrenaline, her body and mind razor-sharp with focus. 10 seconds. "All ships, power up weapons," she commanded. "Resonance generators to full capacity. 5, 4, 3. Stand by. 2, 1. Execute." The trap was sprung. 52 quantum cascade disruptors fired simultaneously, their beams converging on precisely calculated points along the void hunger's boundary. At the same instant, 5,000 ships activated their resonance generators, creating a massive overlapping field that matched the entity's boundary frequency. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Where the disruptor beams struck, the darkness seemed to ripple and distort. The resonance field created visible disturbances across its surface, like waves in a pond. Multiple exotic particle bursts detected. Harrison shouted over the noise of straining engines. "Energy conversion rates are off the scale." "It's trying to withdraw," Zara observed, watching the tactical display. "The boundary is becoming unstable." Chen leaned forward. "Push harder. All ships increase power to resonance generators. Disruptor teams, maintain synchronization." The ship shuddered as its engines strained to maintain position. Across the fleet, power cores pushed to their limits as they forced their attack into the very fabric of the entity's being. Boundary rupture detected. Patel's voice was thick with excitement. We're creating a tear. Through the viewport, they could see it, a rent in the perfect darkness, revealing something beyond. Strange energies poured from the wound, and the entire entity seemed to shudder. It's trying to seal the rupture, Harrison reported. Conversion rates are reaching critical levels. Admiral, Chen called to Zara, order the second wave in. Now. Zara transmitted the command. From behind the sphere of ships, a reserve fleet of faster attack vessels surged forward, each carrying a payload of specially modified torpedoes. They streaked toward the rupture, their weapons armed with the most complex energy patterns the humans could devise. Impact in 5 seconds. Rodriguez announced. 4, 3, 2, 1. The torpedoes struck true, diving into the tear in reality. For a moment, nothing happened. Then. Massive energy spike. Harrison's voice was nearly drowned out by warning alarms. The rupture is expanding exponentially. The tear in the void hunger grew rapidly, dark energies pouring out as its boundary began to collapse. The entity's entire form seemed to convulse, its perfect darkness marred by spreading cracks of light. All ships, fall back. Chen ordered. Maximum thrust. Get clear of the collapse zone. The fleet retreated as the massive entity began to fold in on itself, its boundary dissolving as its energy conversion system overloaded. Where there had been an unstoppable force of consumption, there was now only chaos as space itself seemed to tear and mend. Status? Chen demanded once they'd reached a safe distance. The void hunger's boundary has completely collapsed, Harrison reported, wonder in his voice. It's destroying itself. The conversion process is reversing. They watched in awe as the entity that had threatened to consume their galaxy disappeared in a spectacular implosion, leaving behind nothing but normal space and a scattering of exotic particles. We did it, Zara whispered. We actually did it. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Never underestimate humanity's ability to find a way, Admiral. Especially when we're backed into a corner. As the fleet began damage assessment and recovery operations, Chen looked out at the now normal starfield. Now comes the hard part, figuring out where that thing came from and making sure another one doesn't show up. Zara turned to her. You think there could be more? There's always more, Chen replied. But now we know they can be beaten. And next time, we'll be ready. The stars twinkled back at them, no longer hidden behind an all-consuming darkness. The galaxy was safe, at least for now, thanks to the impossible becoming possible, thanks to humanity's unique gift for facing the unconquerable and finding a way to conquer it anyway. 1 month after the Void Hunger's destruction, the Galactic Council chamber buzzed with an energy it hadn't known in years. Representatives from across known space had gathered to discuss the future, a future they'd nearly lost. Commander Chen stood before them, her uniform crisp despite the hours of meetings. The threat is gone, she concluded her report, but we can't afford to become complacent. The universe is vast, and we don't yet understand what created the void hunger or if there are more like it. What do you propose? Zara asked from her position at the head of the council. Integration, Chen replied simply. Humanity didn't go into those pods to wake up, save the day, and go back to sleep. We chose suspension because we knew someday we'd be needed. Now that we're awake, we're here to stay. She gestured to the holographic display showing the locations of other cryo facilities. We've begun awakening our remaining personnel. Scientists, engineers, warriors, artists, the best Earth had to offer. But we don't want to build a separate human civilization. We want to join yours, to share what we know and learn what you can teach us. The chamber erupted in discussion. Ambassador Trell oozed forward. Your weapons and tactics saved us all, but some worry about introducing such aggressive thinking into our peaceful society. Chen smiled. With respect, Ambassador, your peaceful society nearly perished because it couldn't conceive of how to fight an unconventional threat. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our aggression, it's our adaptability. Our ability to look at the impossible and see possibilities. She walked to the center of the chamber. Already, your scientists are working with ours to understand the physics behind the void hunger's destruction. Your engineers are incorporating our quantum storage technology into new designs. Your military strategists are learning our approaches to problem solving. And what do humans gain from this arrangement? Asked a newer council member. A home, Chen said simply. A purpose. And most importantly, allies. Humanity chose to sleep away the centuries because we believed that together, different species could achieve more than any could alone. The victory over the void hunger proved that. Zara's crystalline form glowed brightly. The Admiral's Council supports this proposal. The tactical advantages alone dash. Go far beyond military applications, Chen interrupted gently. Think bigger. Humanity's drive to explore, to push boundaries, to question the impossible, combined with your wisdom, your technology, your stable civilization, imagine what we could achieve together. She brought up new holographic displays, designs for hybrid ships, plans for joint research facilities, proposals for cultural exchange programs. We're not here to take over or to dominate. We're here to collaborate. To add our voice to the galactic chorus. To help prevent the next crisis before it becomes unstoppable. The council chamber grew quiet as her words sank in. Finally, an elder member spoke up. In all our records, no species has ever voluntarily undergone centuries of suspension for the sake of others. Why did humans make this choice? Chen's expression softened. Because we believed in something bigger than ourselves. We believed that somewhere in time and space, someone would face a challenge they couldn't overcome alone. And we wanted to be there to help, to offer a different perspective, to prove that the impossible is often just the improbable in disguise. She looked around the chamber. We chose to sleep so we could wake to a moment like this, not just to fight one battle, but to join a community. To add our unique human perspective to your millennia of wisdom. To face whatever comes next, together. The council deliberated for hours, but in the end, the vote was unanimous. Humanity would be formally welcomed into the galactic community, with full rights and responsibilities. As the chamber began to empty, Zara approached Chen. There are already rumors, the Admiral said quietly. Stories spreading across the galaxy about the humans who slept for centuries to save us all. You're becoming legends again. Chen shook her head. We don't need to be legends. We just need to be human. To keep pushing boundaries, asking questions, finding solutions. She smiled. And now we have an entire galaxy to explore, new mysteries to solve, new impossibilities to challenge. And if another void hunger appears, then we'll face it together, Chen said firmly. Humans, crystallines, Memorians, and all the rest, each bringing our unique strengths to the fight. That's the real victory here, not just surviving one threat, but building something stronger for the future. As they looked out at the stars through the chamber's massive viewport, both could see ships moving in the distance, human vessels mixing with alien designs, already working together to rebuild what had been lost and create something new. The galaxy was changing. Humanity had returned not as conquerors or saviors, but as partners in a grand collaboration. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, the next impossible challenge waited to be discovered, to be faced, to be overcome, together.